Greetings, viewers. I'd like to welcome you to ECSA's first podcast. Really, what ECSA aims to do with this platform is to impart knowledge and strategies that you candidates can use for your professional registration. Coupled to that, we also wish to host a conversation with like-minded individuals just to expand the capacity in the engineering fraternity.
Basically, what Master Mentor Lebo Maphumulo and I, Yankho Banda, aim to do is to impart knowledge that will assist candidate engineers, technicians, and technologists to empower them with the skill sets that they will need as they embark on their professional journeys by us sharing our different professional journeys as well as key aspects and challenges we have encountered that impacted our professional engineering journeys.
So, Yankho, please describe yourself to the viewers.
As indicated, my name is Yankho Banda. I am a professional civil engineer. My area specialization is traffic and transportation engineering. In my personal capacity, I'm a mom to a young boy. I'm a sister, I'm a partner, I'm a mentor. I'm just an all-round colorful and passionate person about the engineering profession and life in general.
So, Yankho, coincidentally, the whole world knows me as Lebo Maphumulo, but the truth is that is just a nickname. So my official name is actually Tumisang Maphumulo. So since, I'm simply Malebza, feel free to stick to Lebo Maphumulo. So in terms of my career, I actually work for ESCOM, right? I'm currently the corporate specialist for power lines. And in terms of ECSA registration, I'm an engineer who's registered in the electrical category. And really, I've been registered since 2008. So it's been a long journey for me doing this volunteering work with ECSA. In terms of my personal life, I am a mom, I am a wife, I've got 3 children. And really, I like to inspire other people, and really that's why we're having this chat. Yankho, I'd like to just get into the fundamentals of really how you became a professional engineer. So in terms of your challenges that you faced, right, can you take us through a little bit academically and then professionally? And really my interest is, are you still having these challenges, or have you managed to overcome them as you were progressing in your career?
Okay, so I'm a vets graduate. I experienced a lot of challenges in my undergraduate studies. First and foremost, believe it or not, I took almost double the time to complete a 4-year degree. And for me, I think it was just about the passion in doing engineering, because I don't have a remarkable story where I built things as a young child, or I come from an impoverished background and we had challenges. So I'd like to believe that engineering chose me. So I really had to fight to get my degree, and in 2011 I did eventually get the vets edge and I became a civil engineer. I graduated as a civil engineer. Some of the challenges I encountered, as indicated by mainly in academics, was taking the time it took to get the qualification. And then having entered the industry, I think at the beginning, because I took long to get the qualification, I was a bit doubtful of my capabilities to be an engineer. And I mean, as you develop, I'm sure you've also experienced it, especially as females, we tend to suffer a lot from imposter syndrome, where you feel like certain things, like you don't deserve them, or you're being too pompous, or you think too much of yourself. So it's an ongoing challenge. I wouldn't say I'm 100% there, but as I'm developing, I think it's getting a bit better. And I think having registered professionally to some degree gave me the confidence that I needed, to know that I'm capable, I'm competent, and I am more than worthy to be called an engineer. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell in terms of the challenges I've experienced both during or in post academics.
Awesome stuff, Yankho. So really, for me as an electrical, right, I've actually mentored a lot of civil. But when it comes to traffic and transport planning, it is quite a exclusive space. So how did you come to this area of competence? What attracted you to this area?
Interestingly enough, I just landed in the traffic and transport space. As most people will know, when I graduated, vets didn't have a transportation department. So it's either you're going to specialize as a water engineer, structural, or geotechnical. So with the first company I worked for, there wasn't really a lot of work happening because I got into the EPWP space, but there wasn't much happening at the time. And then the traffic and transport department had a bit of a challenge. They were understaffed, and I kind of got roped in by Mr. Victor Diabro, who's mentored me since then, and till today he actually still mentors me. So I think he has been one of the biggest, contributors to me doing so well, or even staying in the traffic and transportation space, as well as a dynamic young lady called Namhla Jaqwa. She was also one of they were the only two traffic engineers in the company. So that's how, in essence, I've actually grown, and sustained myself, or learned a lot in the engineering, in the transportation space.
That is amazing. So Yankho, I mean, the viewers don't know, but I have actually met you through the volunteering work that you do. You've done quite a lot of work for ECSA and more specifically for ECSA, right? So I'm just interested, and I mean, we want the viewers to know, what are the benefits really of volunteering to the engineering profession? So tell me a little bit about how has this impacted your personal and your professional journey?
Believe it or not, I was actually a very shy person. I know it doesn't look like it now, the way I talk a lot, but I think it's part and parcel the fact that I got into the volunteering space. I mean, I've been volunteering with ECSA since I got into the industry almost 10 years ago, and some of the skill sets it helped me with is more so on the soft skill side. It taught me how to communicate, how to articulate myself, how to prepare presentations, how to prepare speeches, how to engage a crowd, for example. And also when it came to my professional registration, some of the outcomes that I actually used from my volunteering aspects, because I mean, like outcome 5, communication. Most of it, as much as I do it on the projects, but with escalating in the leadership roles, you learn to manage, you learn to, in terms of management as well, managing people, managing targets, managing deliverables. It might be something small like a newsletter, but at the end of the day, it's our newsletter, And I think it taught me the importance of mentoring, because it brought me into spaces, I mean, with dynamic women like yourselves, and who have also mentored me. So I mean, speaking of mentoring, we all know that mentoring is quite a key and vital aspect for retaining young professionals, more so female young professionals. And as a master mentor, were you mentored? I mean, if you were, how did you find that to add value to your professional registration journey?
Sure, you know what? Actually, mentoring is like the golden thread, right? If you aim to be professionally registered, you can't actually get away without having a mentor. I must be honest, when I started working at Eskom, I was very fortunate because I was appointed both discipline-specific mentor, so someone who was electrical, and then I was also appointed a mentor for construction because we work with power lines. So I was very fortunate. And the two mentors that were appointed to me were really the leads, in these two spaces. So the one was in design and the other one was in construction. So really I was trained and cultured by the best. So I think in terms of complexity of the work I did, I didn't have challenges like that. So definitely mentoring is something that is critical. And I keep telling mentees that you are not going to be able to do this journey without being mentored. And more specifically, because we know when you register, you need referees, right? And referees need to be people who are present from day one until the time you register.
Yeah, very true. So I mean, you talk about mentoring from day one until you register. So when you registered under the legacy system, and now ECSA is using the new engineering system. What are the similarities or differences between the two systems, and how does the new engineering system assist or benefit eligible professionals, engineering professionals?
I really like the second point of the benefits, because there's really great benefits. But let me take it a step back. So personally, I registered with the legacy system, right? So if I were to summarize the key differences between the legacy and NRS, so when we say NRS, it's the new registration system. Really, legacy was focused on projects, and when they spoke of solutions, they tend to focus on design. Right, so remember, project managers is a profession on its own, so really engineers are not people who manage projects. So this was kind of a challenge, given the fact that this is registration on solving problems. So really what the new registration process has done is it has moved away from the mentality of projects. We are now talking about problems. So new registration system says a professional must solve engineering problems and solutions. So projects has turned into problems, and then when we talk about solution, we've moved away from design, and now we are talking about solutions to engineering problems. Really, the NRS, a lot of people don't know that NRS is really, really an amazing tool, because what it does is it is based around the 11 outcomes. So a candidate does not have to freestyle. In my time, I had to figure out how best can I communicate everything I've done, right? From the soft skills to the core skills to a little bit of contracts and commercial. So really what NRS does is it tells the candidate, this is what I want to know. So with NRS, there's no need to freestyle. You just have to address the 11 outcomes. So a good thing for the candidates to do is really read the question properly and submit evidence against the 11 outcomes. Also, they will see that there's a word limit. So the reason why there's a word limit is because really the assessor is looking for the evidence for the outcome. So really the outcomes are 11. And if you go read them up, it makes the job very easy for the candidates. So in my personal opinion, I think the change was really an empowering one.
And maybe just to add in, because I was mentored by you, for those who don't know, and I registered under the new registration system. And I think I would have to attest, especially as a traffic and transport engineer, we mainly involved in a design life cycle. We mainly involved in the first 2 stages. We might go to the 3rd stage, so we rarely ever get to, do the whole project life cycle. Yeah. So I would agree with you that, it made it a bit simpler, and maybe we'll start getting a lot more traffic and transport engineers registering, because as you alluded to earlier, we're kind of like a special breed in the space. Yeah. So looking at the whole, mentoring and the new systems, there are various types of engineering disciplines. So what are some of the academic requirements for the various engineering disciplines in order to register professionally?
Yeah, so Yankho, that one is quite a key one, because when we talk about the categories, it is also crucial to make the viewers understand that everything that ECSA is doing is aligned with the International Engineering Alliance, right? So it's a benchmark that is used internationally. So the really 3 categories that are key is engineer. And really, to become an engineer or a professional engineer, you need to hold a degree. So a degree is a qualification that is deemed a minimum of 4 years. So that's what they need to do to become professional engineer. Then the second category is professional technologist. And really, if we talk about the legacy system or the legacy education system, it's the people with the BTech, right? So they tend to do an advancement in terms of some technology. So that's why they are called technologists. So these people need to hold a BTech. And then the third category is technicians. So really the technician needs to have a diploma. So a diploma is got quite a range, because it's transformed over the years. So if they go to the ECSA website, they can actually see that table that shows, if you did it between 1980 and 1990, this is what it was called. 2000 to 2010, this is what it was called. But really high level, it's somebody who holds a national diploma. So those are the 3 categories, Yankho. And it is crucial for the viewers to understand that the education that you hold actually tailors the category, the the professional category that you can register in. Because a lot of people sometimes ask, I've got a BTech, I do engineering work, can I become a PRNG? Unfortunately, the question is not. You cannot become PRNG just because you do complex projects. You have to hold some education as an entrance to professional registration. So those are the 3 qualifications that they need: a degree, a BTech, and a national diploma.
Okay. You alluded to now that especially the diploma BTech route is quite interesting, or there have been changes in that space. So can you maybe enlighten us, what is the difference between University of Technology and Technikon for those candidates who are interested, or who need to register, because it is now becoming mandatory that you register. What are the differences between the 2 streams on that side, seeing as you alluded that there's complexities on that side?
Sure, Yankho, that is a very, very critical question, right? So I think a lot of people who have studied engineering are probably aware that the educational framework has been changed. So just as we spoke about legacy and the new, so even with the education system, we've got what we call the legacy educational framework, and then we've got the new framework. So the old Technikons are now being called University of Technology. So really what used to happen at Technikons, it was the people who did the national diploma and then they did the BTech, right? So what is crucial about the people who have graduated in the legacy education system is that there is, besides going from a national diploma to a BTech, there is no route that is defined for a technologist to become an engineer. That is the key thing. So if you've done a BTech, unfortunately, the highest that you can register is a technologist. Now, the beautiful thing about the new educational framework is that it's got a path. No matter what you start with, it's got a clearly defined path that you can follow to become a professional engineer. So this is like the key thing. But I think in terms of commissioning, right, this year will be the first batch that they'll be admitting for the new educational framework. So I think the key thing for the viewer to understand is that if you have studied at a Technikon, even if it was transformed to a technologist during your time, you still cannot convert the BTech to a degree. The only way to become PRNG is to go and get a degree from a university. So the universities are still traditional, so the 4-year qualification is adequate. In the alternate route, it takes longer, as you can imagine, but at least there is a clearly defined route that you can start from a diploma and end up being PRNG. So those are the 2 key differences. So I think the new generation that is getting admitted now are definitely going to have it well, because it's already predefined. So I think I'll leave it there.
Yeah, so ECSA basically is helping young professionals with registering or becoming professional engineers, technicians, and technologists with the new systems and the changes. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
I think the other thing that I've sort of picked up with candidates, right, I think a lot of them are not aware that ECSA actually documents everything. So as much as you know that I offer master classes, I think the key reason that I do that is because I have noticed that one of the key challenges for people not getting registered is the fact that most of the mentors, like me, have been registered in the legacy system, so they are not well versed with the new registration system. What then happens is that they are guiding the candidates not according to the latest requirements or the process that is followed currently. So the master classes I really do to also empower the mentors, because the mentors really do not know the new registration system. But besides that, ECSA actually documents everything. They have a policy that governs the new registration system, they have a standard, and then they have discipline-specific guidelines. So if you are civil, you go download that one. If you're electrical, and they have it for each and every category. So everything is clearly defined. They even have a guideline for mentors. So really what the candidate should be doing at the workplace is, the minute you are appointed a mentor, go and download that guideline, give it to your mentor so that they guide you accordingly. And then another thing that I've also picked up, I think it happens a lot in the government space, is that some of the graduates are working, but there's no one who can represent them in terms of a registered professional. So the master classes really assist those kind of individuals, but really ECSA documents everything. So if you go to the ECSA website and then you go under documents, everything is there.
So you've done quite a lot of amazing things. I mean, you are now deemed a master mentor. What is a master mentor? What are some of the achievements, or what are some of the joys that you have achieved being an engineer, especially for so long, you know, and as someone that even I myself, I look up to you. What are some of the, what can I say, achievements for you that you'd like to highlight?
So, Yankho, I think one of the key things that I haven't shared this far, right, and I think it is very profound for the viewers to listen to this, is unlike you who studied at VETS, right, I studied overseas, so I studied in Malaysia, so really becoming professionally registered was, a mountain, you know, it was quite a mountain, and simply because the university I studied at was not actually registered under the Washington Accord. So when I registered, I had to start with the educational evaluation. So what really happens there is that your degree is treated as a individual thing, and then what they do is they find substantial equivalence to what you guys did at VETS, at UCT. So really I had to start with that process, and it was quite a traumatic one because it's theoretical, as you can imagine. So they want to know theoretically what you've done, practicals, the type of exams, and all of this laboratory work that was undertaken. So really in my journey, I had to first start with that, the educational evaluation. Once my degree was found to be equivalent to a South African degree, then I could become a candidate. So, and then when I became a candidate, at the time that I registered, because I started working in 2004, right? I must be honest, when I went around trying to get guidance on what is required, how do you write it? I think the two key things is how do you write and what do you write? Because there is so much that you do. I personally submitted my report. I think I'd been working for 3 years and 8 months because I had already been on maternity leave for nine months at the time. So then I wanted to know, guys, how do we write this thing? And how, you know, like, what is the tone? You know, what do you capture? And a lot of people were like, you know, we've registered a long time ago, so they really couldn't remember. So as I spoke about the ECSA documentation, I actually went to the website, I read all the documents, and guess what? Voila, I wanted it this bad, hey? So I read the documents, and then there were 2 gentlemen in my workplace that really were crucial in terms of giving me guidance. The 2 were actually not my direct mentors, but there were people who were registered, because I went around just asking everyone who was registered. And those 2 people really, really gave me what was tangible. And in terms of my fear to be registered, because when I wanted to register in 2008, people were saying, don't do it, you're going to fail. You know, so they instilled a little bit of fear. But these 2 gentlemen, Arthur Berger and Fernando Vetboy, gave me something that was substance, you know. So when I wrote my report, I was really now feeling really like, yeah, I can take this on, coupled with the documents that I had read. So really, for me, after I got registered, Yankho, I realized that no, this thing is not difficult, you know. It just needs you to be guided. And this is why ECSA says from day one you must have a mentor. So I think one of the key things for me is for the viewer to understand that if you don't have a mentor, it is going to be challenging. And really the sole reason why you don't want to do this without a mentor is because where are you going to get referees? The application has to be signed from, you know, page 1 to the last page. So really you want to have these people with you from day one. And then another key thing that I'd just like to close with is that the candidates must make sure that the people who are mentoring them are in the right category, right? So if I'm an engineer, a professional engineer should mentor me. But really a technologist can use an engineer. So going from technician to technologist, you can use the person who's above, but going downwards, so an engineer cannot use a technologist or a technician. If they do use them, it's going to be an additional referee report. It's not going to count as the minimum requirements in terms of referees. So I think I'll put it there. That's how I actually launched inspire the next movement, because I was like, so many people fear registration and it's not necessary. So I will make it easy for other candidates and other graduates. You know how we suffered to get that degree, right? So you need that professional title behind your name. And that's how I became a master mentor, really. So my mentoring covers all categories, all discipline. It's really generic because it's modeled for what is required for professional registration.
Yeah, and I must say that the way you do it, it does really make it easy, because I'm one of the products of your mentoring baby, and you are quite right that most of us, find registering quite daunting, hence we delay. I know you were very frustrated with me at some point, and you are like, just submit, just submit. Yeah. But I mean, once you start the journey, you actually realize that it's not as daunting as it seems. So I guess the key point, as you're saying, is just to start and have the mentors.
Yeah, the key thing, I think the thing that makes a challenge for the candidates is the fact that most people register typically after working for 5 years. So they find it really difficult to summarize, isn't it? So the new registration system is very exact on what it wants. So even if you've worked for 10 years, right, the evidence that is required is obvious. So really, for me, Yankho, what I try to do with the master classes is the one class is A to Z. And really what A to Z does is it just tells the candidate about the requirements and about the process, because it is very important for one to know that it is not an overnight thing. It does take quite a while, and it needs volunteers to contribute for the assessments to be done. And then secondly, obviously, is the professional review interview, because like you are saying, I like how you said volunteering at ECSA and CISA and all the VAs really equips you with the soft skills, because really when you go to the professional review, it is about the soft skills. Are you able to articulate yourself clearly? And when you talk to other people, can you converse in a concise without actually mumbling or mixing up the words? And in the engineering space, this is really crucial when things go wrong, because then you have to justify, why did you design it this way in case things do go wrong? I mean, we have examples of, cases whether it's prevailing conditions that have changed, but I'm just saying outcome 5 really needs a registered person to be able to communicate effectively. So that is the second master class, because some of the people get to work by themselves, so they don't interact with other disciplines, and so they find it very difficult to communicate. Especially confidence becomes quite a thing. So that class just really pumps you up in terms of being content and just confident, because you've done the work. So all you need to do is share it with the reviewers. So yeah, that's really about the master classes. And thank you for trusting me to assist you, Yankho. And really, I appreciate the fact that you have assisted many other people. So that's why we say inspire the next, because I'm one person, and my dream is just to have everyone I've mentored mentor other people, so that we all eventually win.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I believe in the philosophy of lift as you rise. Hence, even with myself, I'm aspiring to be a master mentor too. I'm still in the baby steps of mentoring, but I think, through your guidance and my previous mentors, I'd like to think that I'll also be a master mentor, in a short space, or not really short space of time, but at some point.
I think what you don't realize, Yankho, is you're already actually a master mentor. There's been times where we've done tips and tricks, webinars on tips and you were there. You said to the guys, please look out for this. If you want to win, try this, try that. So really the master mentor thing is more about passion, and in you I have seen the passion to empower the next person. So really that's what it takes, because it's a passion game. You got to be patient, and when you're patient, it doesn't feel like work. So I think, in my opinion, you're already a master mentor.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think, Yankho, you know, as we were speaking, we aimed to touch on strategies that the candidates can use to get registered, because we want to make them see that it's really not that difficult, right? So, but I am aware that because it's a conversation we are having, we might have not touched on other things that they want to know. So what we will do is we will allow them to send questions to us. So the viewers, if you have questions, please feel free to email them to us, and then what we will do, we will consolidate them, get the responses, and then share them with the viewers. Because really what we are saying to the candidates is that registration is becoming compulsory. I think everyone has heard about the identification of engineering work. So a time when it was optional to register has gone. Now is the time for everyone to get registered. I really enjoyed having a chat with you, Yankho. You are so amazing. And please keep inspiring the next.
Thank you.